Hey you guys, it's Moonlander, and today I got a video on 5 random horror movies that I picked off of Amazon Prime to see if they were any good. And basically what I wanted to do here was like make this style video where we pick 5 random horror movies I've never seen, and then kind of see if they're worth watching or if they're any good, because it's hard to find good ones, so you just gotta kind of try them sometimes. But anyway, hopefully I can save you some time or suggest you some good ones. Now I do want to warn that some of these movies, they're in the horror section, but man, they are not really much for a horror movie. Okay, the first one that we're gonna look at here is called Autopsy, and it's one of those 8 films to die for. Okay, so I try to pick movies that at least have like a 5 IMDb rating, and this one has 5.0, but this movie was pretty fun. This movie has quite a few familiar faces. It has Buck from Kill Bill, and it has T-1000 in it, and then finally it has this guy over. I mean, I know I've seen him like 1,000 times, but where specifically I don't know. But this is definitely the kind of guy like you would definitely want to have over for dinner. Movie is kind of cool. It starts off with a Clutch song, so I thought that was kind of cool. And look, this movie, yeah, it's fun and it's silly, but you know, it's got a lot of gore in it. It's kind of like a gross out kind of gore, but I mean, it's pretty lighthearted.
Is that glass? Oh, it's just a little sliver.
There's even a scene in this movie where the T-1000 drinks this lady's spinal fluid. And then there's a really gnarly scene in it where they make like a organ carousel out of this guy. They string his guts out and hang them all around the room. But anyway, so this movie's about a group of young adults that went to Mardi Gras, and these folks get in an accident and they end up getting taken to a hospital. But the hospital is not what it seems. It's actually ran by a mad doctor, and he has employees working for him, and his patients are all sort of experiments he's working on to help save his dying wife or keep her alive. But yeah, this is a fun one, and I do suggest it. It's not great, but it's not bad.
Autopsy.
Whoever said there isn't life after death?
Yeah, and then next on the list is going to be David Cronenberg's Shivers. And I am a David Cronenberg fan. Like, I love A History of Violence and Eastern Promises. I remember that made like Viggo Mortensen like one of my favorite actors for a while. I loved those movies. Now, this movie has a 6.6 IMDb rating, and it's from 1976, and I believe it was his first, like, full-length movie that he made.
If you think you're not afraid of the dark, if you think you have a strong stomach, if you feel nothing can shock you.
This movie is like an outbreak of parasites that basically everybody they inhabit turns into like a sex-crazed maniac. And I mean, this movie's got some gore in it, but nothing too spectacular. And it's not really scary or anything, but it's kind of entertaining. And I mean, I guess there's some funny things in it because you like watch all these like normal everyday people act like, you know, sex crazed maniacs. I mean, I guess that was kind of fun, but
Beyond your wildest nightmares, and brings you face to face with terror, beyond the power of priest or science to exercise.
yeah, and I guess apparently looking at the trivia, David Cronenberg was stabbed during the filming of this movie. There was a pad on one shoulder where he was supposed to take a knife from a nurse, but the nurse actually stabbed the other shoulder. If you like horror from the 70s or David Cronenberg, you should probably check this one out. It's not bad. I mean, I didn't think it was amazing, but you know, it's a pretty entertaining movie. I mean, you know, don't expect anything scary or super gory about this movie, though.
No one is safe from them. No power on earth can stop them. The only escape is death. If this picture doesn't make you scream and squirm, you'd better see a psychiatrist. Quick.
Okay, the next movie that I watched was called The Monster. Yeah, and now this movie's from 2016, and it has 5.3 rating, but I'm just gonna tell you right now that I would give this movie like a 3 out of the 10. I mean, it's not like, I don't know, just the characters in this movie are awful. Like, it's about a mother and daughter that gets stuck in the middle of the nowhere on the side of the road, and they get terrorized by some alien creature.
We gotta call 911. Hello? We've been in an accident. Let's go back to the car.
It's more about the characters. I would say like the first half of the movie is just basically introducing you to who this mother and daughter are. And the daughter is like basically having to tolerate her mom, who is young, but she's also an alcoholic. And she's a terrible mother. I mean, there's a point in the movie where the daughter and mom take turns yelling F you to each other for like 2 minutes. I mean, Jesus. Yeah, then towards the end of the movie, you know, it's more about the monster. And, I mean, this movie really pushes the limits of how dumb a horror movie can be and what the people in it do.
Ma'am, you alright?
Yeah, we're fine.
The ambulance gonna be a bit. Stay in there.
You gotta be able to take it somewhat seriously. I mean, especially when the first half of the movie is all about character development. And then by the end, you just want everybody to die because their lines are so obnoxious and the things they do are so stupid. I really didn't like this one. I don't suggest it. I'd skip this one. Okay, the next movie is called Sorceress. And this movie says that it's in the horror genre, and it was on Amazon Prime. But let me tell you, there's nothing horror about this movie. This movie's main character is also the director. And it's about a troubled woman whose mother thought she was a witch and she committed suicide, and somehow she ends up living with her aunt and uncle in like Russia, and they don't like her and they're embarrassed of her because she's a lesbian, I guess. And anyway, so it's more about this woman trying to, I guess, discover who she really is. And I mean, the only good thing about this movie is how short it is, because it was like, this movie's only 84 minutes, but man, it felt twice that long. And by the time I finally decided to shut it off and find something else for this list, it only had 10 minutes left, so I just let it play out. And I mean, the ending is stupid. Like, I just don't get it. It wasn't for me. I don't suggest it, and I definitely wouldn't say this is even slightly horror. The last one we're going to talk about is What Have You Done to Solange? And this is an Italian movie from the 70s. And it is in English, you know, so it's not subtitled. And this one has a high IMDb rating. It's got a 7.1. Like, I think that's pretty high for this genre. At the same time, this isn't much of a horror movie. It's more kind of like a thriller or a murder mystery. This movie is about a professor at a school for girls, like a Catholic school. And anyway, the girls start getting murdered, and they're getting murdered by having a long knife shoved in their private. And I mean, I know that's really off-putting, but this movie's not really graphic as far as gore. I don't really think there was much of any gore in this movie. They show a few dead bodies, but I mean, it's pretty tame. I mean, I know that's like kind of a gross subject matter, but it's not too offensive as far as what it shows. But anyway, so he has a relationship with one of his students, and you know, she ends up getting murdered, and he ends up getting suspended because her body was found in his apartment. And anyway, as the story goes on, he investigates this himself along with the police captain, and they go on, and you know, it's a pretty good murder mystery. And then by the end of it, you find out who was doing the murdering and why they were doing it and why they were doing it in that way. And I mean, it, you know, closes up with, you know, you're pretty much satisfied with the story and why things happen. This movie contains quite a bit of nudity in it. Like, I don't know why, but they add in like a scene of one of the staffs like got holes in the wall so you can watch the girls showering and stuff. But I think it's just trying to keep you guessing at who the murderer is. So this movie is decent, but it's not scary, it's not gory, and I really wouldn't call it a horror movie, but yet again, it was in the horror section. So I'm just trying 5 random movies. So I hope you guys liked this video, and if you've seen any of these movies and you have any thoughts on them, please comment below. And, when I watch 5 more random movies, I'll make another one of these, because it's fun to do, you know. Alright, thanks you guys. See you next time.